Okay, so here's the data set we're talking about here. It's, as I mentioned, some information from public health bodies on their concerns about COVID-19. Starting off on the raw data tab. So that is the data as it comes across, and you should always retain this. What you do is just copy it to another tab. So all you do is right click on that, go to move a copy. I'm not going to do this because I've done it already, and create a copy, and it will appear, and you'll rename it possibly and move it around. Okay, so the data is a number. It's got a number of things in it. It's got city and towns, which when you look at them, there are some issues. So, for example, then it's got Essex without a capital E at the start, and I'm sure no doubt in other places it's Essex with a capital E. There's this question here, which is, it turns out is in two parts. This is what it was. Initial question was, are you worried about specific groups of people in your area accessing sufficient food? If people said yes, and everyone did, it provoked a second question. Please indicate which groups in particular you are worried about. Okay, so if you look at the answers, you'll see how variable they are. So young families there with families spelled correctly. We've got young families down there with families spelled incorrectly. We've got elderly there. Then we've got someone who's made a slight mistake in spelling elderly. So there's lots of information associated with this data, which makes it quite hard to analyse. Text mining and using Orange can help with this, and we'll have a look at what we can do with this. Okay, so one of the things I've added, the first thing I've done in terms of tabs is I've added a reference to all of them. It's always a good idea when you have a data set to add a reference. In this case, we just call them S1 through however many we go down to. In order to sort out some issues with the, again, there's another example there, Abbott Squall doesn't have a capital A, it of course should have. So what I've done is used a function to capitalise them. Now this is the upper function. Which is a very nice function. It's discovered when you use it, it does everything in a particular column when you do the first one. So I've done that both for town and city and also for county. Now in this case, as I mentioned earlier on, the response column is all yes. So just for clarification in this case, I've just deleted it. There may be circumstances where people have said no, and you might want to do some statistics on that. Which leaves us back to this question, which has now come down to which groups in particular are you worried about, and the questions which we've already talked about. Right, okay, so what we're going to do about this, we can't use Excel directly in the way it is at the moment in Orange Data Mining, because it's got multiple columns. You only want one column. You also need to use something called a CSV file, that is to say a comma separated value file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy, might have to come back and do this again. I'm going to copy that. I'm going to open up a new version of Excel. Right, so I'm just going to paste that in. I'm just going to use paste values. Right, so that's just the information we've got there, and we're going to save that as file, save as. Browse to the desktop. I'll save this as test data. Okay, now at the moment it's defaulting to save for Excel worksheet. What we want, as I mentioned, is something called a CSV. So we go down to here, we find comma separated, comma delimited CSV, and save it. Now Excel will complain a lot about this. It prefers it in its own format, but we do need it in this format, so make sure you don't resave it accidentally into Excel. So we're going to save. Okay. Right, so now when we open this one up, wherever it's gone to, there it is. I've closed and I'll open up again. It has opened up. Okay, it's opened up nice. It's opened up in test data CSV. Now we can import this into Orange, which I'll do in the second part of this video. Okay, so stopping this one now.